True strength is not something that announces itself in crowds or seeks validation from the noise around us. It doesn't scream for attention or beg for approval. It shows up in the quiet moments, in the stillness where only you exist. Strength, real strength, is often found in the spaces where there are no distractions, no comforting voices, and no one to lean on. It is in solitude where the essence of who you are comes to the surface. It is there, in that quiet place, that your spirit is tested and your resilience is revealed. When you're surrounded by people, it's easy to hide behind their energy, their opinions, their expectations. The pressure to conform to their views can make you lose sight of who you are, of what truly matters to you. In groups, you can blend in, allowing yourself to be carried along by the current of the crowd, whether it aligns with your values or not. But in solitude, there is no one else to lean on. There's no shield to protect you from facing the truth of your own thoughts. And that's where the real work begins. Solitude forces you to confront yourself in ways that being around others never will. There is no mask to wear, no role to play. It's just you, raw and exposed to the reality of who you are and what you believe. This kind of exposure can be unsettling, even frightening, because there's no escape from your own mind. It's here where strength begins to develop, not because the environment is hostile, but because it's honest. In the quiet of solitude, you can no longer avoid the hard questions you've been running from. Who are you, really? What do you stand for? What are you afraid of? Many people are afraid to be alone because they don't want to face these questions. They are afraid of what they might discover about themselves when there's no one else around to distract them. But those who embrace solitude learn something that most people never will. True strength doesn't come from avoiding discomfort, it comes from confronting it head on. The longer you sit with yourself, the more you learn about your weaknesses, your fears, and your insecurities. But more importantly, you begin to understand your strengths, your resilience, and your capacity for growth. Solitude offers you the space to reflect, to dig deep, and to get to the core of who you are. It is in those moments of quiet reflection where you start to build the foundation of your inner strength. When no one is around to offer advice or lend a hand, you realize that the only person you truly have to depend on is yourself. That realization can be both terrifying and empowering. You come to understand that you are enough, that you have the capacity to stand on your own 2 feet, no matter what the world throws at you. There is a clarity that comes with solitude that you can't find in the company of others. In solitude, your thoughts are no longer clouded by the opinions of friends, family, or society. You can finally hear your own voice, loud and clear. You start to trust your intuition, to rely on your own judgment. You develop a confidence in yourself that can't be shaken by outside influences, because it's rooted in something far deeper than the approval of others. It's rooted in your own understanding of who you are and what you are capable of. As you spend more time in solitude, you begin to recognize that strength isn't about being invincible. It's about being resilient. It's about knowing that you can weather any storm because you faced the darkest parts of yourself and come out stronger on the other side. It's about understanding that you don't need anyone else to complete you or to make you feel whole. You are complete on your own, and that is a kind of strength that can't be taken away. People who are afraid of being alone often seek validation from external sources. They rely on others to tell them that they are strong, that they are worthy, that they matter. But those who embrace solitude understand that true strength comes from within. It's not something that can be given to you by anyone else. It's something that you cultivate through the process of self-discovery, through the quiet moments of introspection, through the challenges that you face when no one else is there to help. In solitude, you learn to rely on yourself in ways you never thought possible. You discover your own resourcefulness, your own creativity, your own ability to solve problems without the input of others. You become more self-sufficient, more independent, more confident in your own abilities. And that self-reliance breeds a strength that is unshakable, a strength that is grounded in the knowledge that you are capable of handling anything life throws your way. The longer you spend in solitude, the more you realize that strength isn't about having all the answers. It's about being willing to ask the hard questions. It's about being comfortable with uncertainty, with not knowing what the future holds, and trusting yourself to figure it out as you go. It's about being okay with the fact that you don't need to have everything figured out right now because you have the strength to navigate whatever comes next. Solitude teaches you that true strength isn't loud. It doesn't need to announce itself. It doesn't need to be validated or praised. True strength is quiet. It's steady. It's the kind of strength that is built over time, through patience, perseverance, and self-reflection. It's the kind of strength that comes from within, from the depths of your soul. And it's the kind of strength that can't be shaken by anything or anyone outside of you. Walking your own path is one of the most courageous things you can do in life. It's easy to follow the crowd, to move in the direction everyone else is going, because that's where the comfort lies. That's where the approval is. But to step away from the well-trodden road and chart your own course, that requires a different kind of bravery, a deeper strength that many people shy away from. It means facing the unknown, risking judgment, and accepting that sometimes you will walk alone. But that's the price of living authentically. When you choose to walk your own path, you immediately set yourself apart. And that separation can feel like a loss at first. You might lose friendships, the support of people who don't understand your choices, and even the comfort of belonging to something familiar. But what you gain is infinitely more valuable: the freedom to be yourself. You begin to realize that the approval of others is fleeting, but the satisfaction of living in alignment with your own truth is lasting. It's a choice to honor your own voice, your own values, above the noise and opinions that surround you. Walking your own path forces you to develop resilience. It's not an easy road, and it's not always a straight one. There will be obstacles, challenges, and moments where you doubt yourself. There will be times when it seems easier to abandon your course and fall back into the safety of the crowd. But with each step you take, you grow stronger. Every time you choose to keep going despite the doubts, despite the loneliness, you build a level of resilience that can't be shaken. It's the kind of resilience that comes only from standing firm in who you are, even when the world tells you otherwise. One of the hardest parts about walking your own path is dealing with the expectations of others. People will project their fears, their limitations, and their insecurities onto you. They will tell you what you should do, how you should live, and who you should be. It takes immense courage to push back against those expectations and say, "This is my life. I will decide how to live it." It's not about being defiant for the sake of rebellion. It's about understanding that you have the right to define your own destiny, that your choices belong to you and no one else. Walking your own path also means embracing uncertainty. There is no blueprint, no map that guarantees success. The path you choose may lead to places you never expected, and that unpredictability can be terrifying. But it is also what makes the journey worthwhile. When you walk your own path, you learn to trust yourself in ways that you never had to before. You learn to navigate the unknown, to adapt, and to thrive in situations where there is no clear answer. That kind of trust is invaluable. It's the kind of trust that allows you to move forward even when fear tries to hold you back. Courage comes from making decisions that others might not understand. You might choose a career that doesn't fit the mold, or pursue a passion that seems impractical. You might walk away from relationships that no longer serve you, even if it means being alone for a while. These are the moments that test your resolve, the moments when you find out what you're really made of. And though the world may not always applaud your choices, you come to realize that the only applause you truly need is your own. The courage to choose your own path means knowing that you're enough, regardless of how others perceive you. Along the way, walking your own path teaches you about integrity. It's easy to compromise your values when you're trying to fit in. It's easy to go along with the crowd just to avoid standing out. But when you walk your own path, you are constantly reminded of who you are and what you believe in. You can't hide from yourself, and that forces you to live with integrity. Each decision you make is a reflection of your own principles, your own sense of right and wrong. And the more you honor that, the more grounded and confident you become in who you are. Walking your own path also means accepting that not everyone will join you on your journey. People you once counted on may not understand your choices, and they may drift away. That can be painful, but it's also part of the process. You realize that the people who truly belong in your life will respect your decisions, even if they don't fully understand them. They will support you, not because they agree with everything you do, but because they love and respect you enough to let you be yourself. And those who can't do that, they simply aren't meant to walk with you. Walking your own path also brings a sense of peace, despite the challenges. There's a quiet confidence that comes from knowing that you are living life on your terms. You're no longer weighed down by the need to conform, by the pressure to fit into a box that was never meant for you. Instead, you are free to create your own path, to follow your own instincts, and to live in a way that feels authentic and true to who you are. That freedom is priceless. As you continue to walk your path, you begin to realize that the courage to do so doesn't come all at once. It builds with every step, with every decision to keep going despite the uncertainty, despite the fear. Each time you choose to honor your own journey, you become a little braver, a little stronger. And that courage, that strength is what allows you to keep moving forward, no matter what lies ahead. Loneliness is often misunderstood. Society tells us that being alone is something to avoid, something to fear, as if solitude is a marker of failure or weakness. But the truth is far from that. Loneliness in itself does not define weakness. In fact, it can be the catalyst for immense strength. Being alone is not synonymous with being broken or incapable, rather. It's an opportunity to discover depths within yourself that you didn't even know existed. It's a space where real growth can happen, where you learn to rely on yourself in ways that you never had to before. When you're surrounded by people all the time, it's easy to forget what you are capable of on your own. The noise of others can drown out your own thoughts, making it hard to distinguish between what you truly want and what others expect from you. Loneliness strips that away. It forces you to confront who you are when no one else is around. And that confrontation can be uncomfortable, but it's essential. It's only when you're alone that you start to see the parts of yourself that you might have been avoiding, the parts that need attention and healing. Loneliness teaches you self-reliance. When there's no one else to turn to, no one to fill the silence, you begin to realize that you have to fill it yourself. You have to find comfort in your own company, and that's a skill many people never develop because they're so busy surrounding themselves with others. But learning to be alone with your thoughts, your fears, your dreams, it's an empowering experience. It shows you that you don't need anyone else to validate your existence, to tell you that you matter. You matter simply because you are. There's a profound strength that comes from navigating loneliness, from facing the emotions that come up in that space without running away. People often try to escape loneliness through distractions, social media, constant interactions, or even unhealthy relationships. But when you resist the urge to flee from it, when you sit with it and let yourself feel it fully, you start to realize that loneliness isn't something to be afraid of. It's just a state of being, and like all states, it passes. In the process, you become stronger, more resilient, because you've proven to yourself that you can handle being alone. Loneliness allows for deep introspection. In the quiet moments when there's no one else around, you start to hear your own voice more clearly. You begin to understand your motivations, your desires, and the things that truly bring you joy. Without the influence of others, you can explore who you are at your core, unfiltered and unedited. This kind of self-knowledge is a form of power. The more you understand yourself, the less you need from others to define your worth. You become more grounded, more secure in who you are. And that's something loneliness can give you that constant company can't. Some of the most powerful people in the world have spent significant periods of their lives in solitude. It's during those times that they've done their most profound thinking, their most significant self-reflection. Being alone doesn't diminish your ability to achieve greatness. In fact, it often fuels it. Without the distractions of the outside world, you can focus on your goals with clarity and determination. Loneliness becomes a space for creativity, for innovation, for the kind of focused work that changes lives. It's a tool, not a trap. Another aspect of loneliness that people often overlook is its ability to cultivate emotional independence. When you spend time alone, you learn to meet your own emotional needs. You don't rely on others to make you feel happy, validated, or loved. Instead, you find ways to create those feelings for yourself. That's not to say you stop needing people altogether. Human connection is essential, but loneliness teaches you that you don't need to depend on others to feel whole. You become your own source of strength, and that independence is a form of freedom that few experience. Loneliness also teaches you about the value of connection. When you spend time alone, you begin to appreciate the quality of relationships more than the quantity. You no longer seek out people just to fill a void. Instead, you look for meaningful connections, relationships that enrich your life and align with your values. You become more selective about who you allow into your world, and that's a form of strength in itself. Knowing that you can be alone means that you don't settle for just anyone. You raise your standards both for others and for yourself. Many people associate loneliness with vulnerability, and in some ways that's true. Being alone can make you feel exposed, unsure, and even fragile at times. But vulnerability isn't the same as weakness. In fact, vulnerability is one of the greatest strengths a person can have. It's through embracing vulnerability in your loneliness that you learn how to cope with discomfort, how to process difficult emotions, and how to sit with pain without letting it define you. Vulnerability opens the door to personal growth, and loneliness is often the space where that growth takes root. Loneliness also provides you with the opportunity to reset. In the hustle of everyday life, surrounded by constant stimulation, it's easy to lose track of what truly matters to you. But in the stillness of loneliness, you have the chance to step back, reflect, and reassess. You can realign with your values, rediscover passions you may have neglected, and set new intentions for your life. It's a period of renewal, a space where you can clear away the noise and focus on what's important. Rather than being a sign of weakness, loneliness can be the springboard for a new chapter of strength and purpose. Loneliness is a reminder that you are enough, just as you are. It strips away the external factors that we so often rely on to measure our worth: status, relationships, achievements, and forces us to reckon with the simple fact of our existence. You are here. You are whole. And that is enough. The ability to find peace in that truth is one of the greatest strengths a person can develop. Greatness is often misunderstood in today's world. We live in a time where popularity is mistaken for success, where the number of followers, likes, and applause seem to define a person's worth. But true greatness isn't about how many people know your name or how often you're in the spotlight. It's not about being admired by the masses. Greatness runs far deeper than that. It's rooted in character, in the values you uphold, and in the impact you leave on the world, often without anyone else knowing. Popularity is fleeting. It's something that comes and goes, dependent on trends, the opinions of others, and external circumstances. One day you could be celebrated, the next you could be forgotten. But greatness is different. Greatness is enduring because it's built on substance, on the things that truly matter. It's about who you are when no one's looking, the choices you make when there's no one around to witness them. Greatness is about integrity, about doing the right thing, even when it's not easy or convenient. When people chase popularity, they often lose sight of what's important. They get caught up in trying to please everyone, in trying to fit into a mold that was never meant for them. In doing so, they sacrifice their authenticity, their uniqueness. But greatness comes from staying true to who you are, regardless of whether it earns you praise or recognition. It comes from living in alignment with your values, even if that means standing alone. It's about having the courage to walk your own path, to do what's right for you, even when it's not the popular choice. True greatness is often quiet. It doesn't need to announce itself or seek validation. Some of the greatest acts of kindness, bravery, and integrity go unnoticed by the world, but that doesn't make them any less significant. In fact, it makes them more so. Doing something for the sake of recognition is easy. Doing it because it's the right thing to do, even when no one will ever know, is what defines real greatness. It's about the impact you have on others, not because it elevates your status, but because it improves the lives of those around you. Greatness is also about consistency. It's not a one-time event or a single moment of glory. It's a lifetime of small, meaningful actions that accumulate over time. It's about showing up day after day and doing the work, even when it's hard, even when it's thankless. Popularity might give you a moment of attention, but greatness is about the long game. It's about perseverance, about continuing to push forward, to grow, and to make a difference no matter how long it takes or how little recognition you receive along the way. People often confuse being well-liked with being great, but the two are not the same. Popularity is about appealing to the masses, about being what others want you to be. Greatness, on the other hand, is about being true to yourself, even if it means going against the grain. It's about having a vision, a purpose, and sticking to it, regardless of whether others understand or support it. Many of the greatest leaders, thinkers, and innovators were not popular in their time. In fact, many of them were criticized, ridiculed, or even ostracized for their ideas. But they persisted because they knew that greatness isn't defined by the approval of others. Greatness is also about humility. It's not about being the loudest in the room or having the most people admire you. It's about knowing your worth without needing to broadcast it. It's about letting your actions speak for themselves. Greatness doesn't seek applause, it seeks to make a difference. It's the quiet confidence that comes from knowing you're doing something meaningful, something that matters, even if no one else notices. It's about understanding that your worth isn't tied to how many people are watching, but to the quality of the work you're doing and the values you're living by. Another important aspect of greatness is the ability to lift others up. Popularity often thrives on competition, on being better than the next person. But true greatness is about collaboration, about helping others succeed. It's about recognizing that your greatness isn't diminished by someone else's achievements. In fact, greatness is multiplied when you inspire and support those around you. It's about using your influence, your skills, and your position to make a positive impact on others, to create opportunities, and to be a source of strength and encouragement. Greatness also requires a deep sense of purpose. It's not about doing things for the sake of recognition or approval. It's about doing them because they align with your values and contribute to something bigger than yourself. Greatness comes from having a vision, from being driven by something more meaningful than personal gain. It's about contributing to the greater good, whether that's in your community, your work, or the world at large. Popularity may bring momentary satisfaction, but it's purpose that brings lasting fulfillment. Greatness is about legacy. Popularity fades, but the impact you leave behind lasts. True greatness is about what you give to the world, how you make people feel, and the changes you help bring about, even if your name is forgotten in the process. It's about living in such a way that your influence extends far beyond your own lifetime, affecting generations to come. It's not about being remembered for being famous or popular. It's about being remembered for the positive difference you made, the lives you touched, and the values you stood for. Focus and determination and solitude are some of the most powerful tools a person can possess. In a world that's constantly buzzing with distractions, the ability to focus on your goals in the quiet of your own company is rare but invaluable. Solitude creates a space where you can fully concentrate on what matters without the noise and influence of others pulling you in different directions. It's in these moments of isolation that you can find clarity, allowing your determination to sharpen as you move toward your objectives without interruption. When you're alone, there's no one else to rely on for motivation or direction. It's just you and your vision. This kind of self-reliance can be both daunting and liberating. It forces you to dig deep, to cultivate an inner strength and discipline that might otherwise remain dormant. Focus becomes not just a skill, but a necessity. There are no shortcuts, no one to push you forward when you're tired or unmotivated. The only voice guiding you is your own, and that's where true determination is tested and developed. Solitude eliminates external pressures. The expectations of others can sometimes cloud your judgment or lead you astray from what you truly want. But when you're alone, you have the freedom to pursue your goals without having to meet anyone else's standards. You can dedicate yourself fully to the things that truly matter to you without worrying about how it looks to others or whether it aligns with popular opinion. In this sense, solitude becomes a sanctuary for focus, a place where you can drown out the world and zero in on what's important. There's a certain clarity that comes from solitude. When the distractions of the outside world are removed, you can hear your own thoughts more clearly. You can sift through your ideas, goals, and dreams without interference. In solitude, there's no need to juggle conflicting opinions or agendas. Instead, you can channel all your energy toward what you're trying to achieve. This singular focus allows you to hone your determination to keep moving forward without getting sidetracked by the noise around you. Determination in solitude requires discipline. Without the structure of external accountability, it's up to you to create your own framework for success. You have to set your own goals, create your own deadlines, and push yourself to meet them. This kind of self-discipline is challenging, but it's also incredibly empowering. When you learn to rely on your own determination, you build a sense of confidence and resilience that no one can take away from you. You realize that you are fully capable of achieving your goals, even without the validation or support of others. In solitude, there's no room for excuses. When you're alone with your thoughts and your plans, it becomes clear that the only thing standing between you and your goals is your own effort. There's no one else to blame, no one else to depend on. This can be a tough pill to swallow, but it's also a powerful motivator. It forces you to take full responsibility for your actions, to own your successes and your failures. This level of accountability fuels determination, pushing you to work harder, focus deeper, and keep going even when the road gets tough. Solitude can also heighten your ability to persevere. Without the constant validation from others, you learn to rely on your own internal drive to keep going. This self-reliance builds mental toughness, teaching you to push through challenges without needing someone else to cheer you on. It's easy to stay determined when you're surrounded by support, but true determination comes from the ability to stay focused even when no one is watching, when there's no external reward for your efforts. This is the kind of determination that leads to real, lasting success. Focus in solitude also allows you to explore your goals more deeply. Without distractions, you can fully immerse yourself in your work, gaining insights and understanding that might otherwise remain hidden. This depth of focus can lead to breakthroughs, to moments of clarity where everything seems to fall into place. When you're constantly surrounded by others, it's easy to skim the surface of your work, to move from task to task without really diving in. But in solitude, you have the time and space to dig deep, to explore every angle of your goals and challenges. Determination in solitude is not without its challenges. The quiet can sometimes feel overwhelming, and the lack of immediate feedback can lead to moments of doubt. But it's in these moments that your determination is truly tested. Can you keep going even when the path is unclear, even when there's no one around to offer encouragement? These are the moments that define you, that build your strength and resolve. In solitude, you learn that determination isn't just about pushing forward when things are easy, it's about staying the course when things are hard. Solitude fosters self-awareness, which in turn strengthens focus and determination. When you spend time alone, you become more attuned to your own habits, thoughts, and emotions. You begin to understand what drives you, what holds you back, and what you need to do to stay on track. This heightened awareness allows you to adjust your approach as needed, to refine your goals and methods in ways that will lead to greater success. In solitude, you develop a deeper understanding of yourself and your work, which in turn makes your determination more effective. Solitude teaches you patience. Achieving big goals takes time, and in the hustle of everyday life, it's easy to become impatient or distracted. But in the quiet of solitude, you learn to appreciate the process. You come to understand that focus and determination are not about rushing to the finish line, but about staying committed to your path, no matter how long it takes. This patience allows you to approach your goals with a steady, unwavering focus, knowing that every step forward, no matter how small, brings you closer to success. Self-worth is a deeply personal journey, one that originates from within, rather than from the opinions or validations of others. In a world constantly seeking external approval, it's easy to get caught up in what others think of us, in the likes, comments, and accolades that seem to measure our value. But real self-worth doesn't come from those fleeting validations. It's something much deeper, something that can only be cultivated from inside. It's about knowing at your core that you are enough without needing anyone else to confirm it. True self-worth is not determined by achievements or status. It's not about how much you've accomplished, how many people admire you, or how successful you appear on the outside. Those are temporary markers that can change in an instant. Self-worth, on the other hand, is constant. It's a steady, unshakable belief in your own value as a human being, regardless of what you've done or where you stand in life. It's about recognizing that you have worth simply because you exist, and nothing can take that away from you. One of the biggest challenges in building self-worth is learning to separate your value from external validation. From a young age, we're taught to seek approval from others, whether it's through grades, compliments, or praise from authority figures. But relying on others to affirm your worth is a slippery slope. Their opinions can change, and if your self-worth is tied to their approval, it becomes fragile, easily shattered by criticism or rejection. Building your self-worth from within means developing a sense of value that isn't dependent on what others think of you. Developing self-worth requires introspection. It's not something that happens overnight, and it's not something that anyone else can give you. You have to be willing to look inward, to reflect on who you are beyond your accomplishments, beyond your relationships, beyond the roles you play in life. What do you value? What do you stand for? What are the qualities that make you uniquely you? Answering these questions allows you to tap into a deeper sense of self-worth, one that isn't swayed by external forces. Another important aspect of self-worth is learning to accept yourself, flaws and all. We live in a culture that often glorifies perfection, making it easy to feel inadequate if we don't measure up to impossible standards. But true self-worth comes from embracing your imperfections, from understanding that you are valuable not in spite of them, but because of them. It's about recognizing that your flaws are part of what makes you human, part of what makes you unique, and that they do not diminish your worth in any way. Self-worth is also about setting boundaries. When you value yourself, you're more likely to protect your time, energy, and emotional well-being. You begin to recognize when relationships, situations, or behaviors are no longer serving you, and you have the courage to step away from them. Setting boundaries is an act of self-respect. It's a way of telling yourself and others that you deserve to be treated with dignity and kindness. When you have a strong sense of self-worth, you don't allow others to dictate your value or how you should be treated. Learning to build your self-worth from within also involves letting go of comparisons. It's easy to fall into the trap of measuring yourself against others, especially in today's social media-driven world. But comparisons are toxic to self-worth because they're based on external factors that have nothing to do with who you are at your core. Someone else's success, beauty, or achievements don't diminish your own worth. Your value is inherent, and it doesn't need to be compared to anyone else's to be valid. When you stop comparing yourself to others, you free yourself to appreciate your own journey and growth. Self-worth is tied to self-compassion. We often hold ourselves to incredibly high standards, expecting perfection in every aspect of our lives. But when we fall short, it's easy to be harsh and critical, chipping away at our own sense of worth. Cultivating self-worth means learning to treat yourself with the same kindness and understanding that you would offer a friend. It means recognizing that you're doing your best, and that mistakes or failures don't define you. They're just part of the learning process, part of being human. An internal sense of self-worth also fosters resilience. When your worth isn't tied to external factors, you become less vulnerable to the ups and downs of life. Criticism, failure, and rejection may still sting, but they don't shake your core belief in yourself. You understand that your worth isn't determined by any single moment or outcome. This resilience allows you to keep moving forward, to pursue your goals with confidence, even in the face of setbacks. When your self-worth comes from within, you're able to bounce back from challenges more quickly and with greater strength. Self-worth is empowering because it shifts the focus from seeking approval to living authentically. When you know your value, you no longer feel the need to conform to what others expect of you. You're free to live according to your own values, passions, and beliefs. You start to prioritize what feels right for you, rather than what will win you acceptance from others. This authenticity leads to a deeper sense of fulfillment and happiness because you're living in alignment with who you truly are, not who others want you to be. Self-worth cultivated from within creates a sense of peace. When you no longer feel the need to chase external validation, you experience a profound sense of contentment. You're no longer at the mercy of other people's opinions or the shifting tides of life. Instead, you find your strength and security within yourself. You know that no matter what happens, your worth remains intact. This inner peace allows you to navigate life with greater confidence and grace, knowing that you are enough, just as you are.